welcome guys. Thanks so much for hopping on Zoom, and it's nice to see you guys again and reconnect after a great project together. So I'm just hoping to kind of recount the story of the mural and how it came to be, and just get different perspectives as partners in this really awesome project that, as like even now, just today, driving down Market Street, I get a nice big grin on my face seeing it and seeing people still admire it. So really grateful just to work with you guys, and just really excited about what we were able to accomplish together.
Thanks, all right.
So as you guys know, it was about almost a year ago when we were thinking about 2020, and thinking about just all the different ways that we wanted to recognize this important milestone of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, which gave white women the right to vote, right? And so, thinking about kind of our usual stuff and our usual programs, and thinking about how we can weave this theme into a series of different events throughout 2020. And then we just thought, wow, it's such a big milestone. Wouldn't it be great if we could just think bigger, right? And think about a way to attract a larger audience and also kind of bring something permanent or at least semi-permanent into the community. So just, and from our perspective, it was really just a lot of brainstorming, and suddenly, we arrived at like a mural or something, or some sort of like public art project, which would be awesome. But we didn't really know what that could be or how possible it was. And we're centered right in the borough of Westchester, knowing that's a beautiful historic location, particularly when it comes to women's rights. And so one of my first phone calls was to Carolyn Committa, who's been a passionate advocate for suffrage and for women's issues in general. And from there, she led me to, I think, Mayor Diane Herron, who then led me to you, Jimmer, just via email. So she gave me your email address, and it felt like a shot in the dark to reach out to you and say, hey, we want to commemorate the centennial. And so where do we go from here, and what can we do? So I'm sure that kind of seemed like out of left field, because I know you didn't really know who the fund was at that point.
Nope.
Now you know a lot about us.
Yep.
So if you could share a little bit about what it was like to be on the receiving end of that email and what ran through your head.
Yeah, well, when first of all, I was very pleased when you guys first surfaced, because we're always, the Public Arts Commission is always very interested in any type of public art project. We just have an open door policy, and if somebody has any bit of an idea, we're happy to just talk it out and see where it can go. And we've seen projects, they go all the way like yours did, and then sometimes they kind of start to fizzle out and they just don't have enough legs. So when you guys came and you said that you wanted to do something, but you weren't really quite sure which direction to go. I know for a little bit we talked about maybe doing some sort of sculptural piece or something like that. Mm-hmm. And from my perspective at that point, there was just kind of endless possibilities. So it was interesting to see how it all just developed and played out. And it's, as you go through the process, you realize that some of your questions just answer themselves.
Yeah.
You start talking about like pricing out a bronze sculpture, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we weren't talking about that. So things start to really kind of come together as you move through the development phase. And that led us to putting together we zeroed in on the mural, we zeroed in on the wall, got Scott Zukin involved, which was, he was a great partner, very, very happy to be on board. And then that put out the call for art, mm-hmm. Which I thought was another great success. Lots of attention, lots of good submissions, only one really fantastic submission, but lots of good response, which is always great for us to see, because, from the public art perspective, it's all about the public, and we want as many people and as many different avenues involved. So the response we were real pleased with.
Mhm.
But of course, as we went through the jurying process, it became clear which design rose to the top. And sure enough, that led us back into on the phone with Kendra, where we Public Arts Commission had been before, coincidentally.
So
That's
you were
true.
no stranger to the art scene, even though
I knew no stranger. I relocated to Westchester not too long ago, but wanted to figure out how to lay down some roots in the artistic community. I knew there was a ton going on in Chester County, and looking to where's my right in, or how do I fit into all of this. And
Hmm.
so Westchester Public Arts kind of came up on Instagram in my just happenings of trying to get to know the borough more and how do I get involved. And I entered a call to art prior. So it's been great. And so it's been pretty cool to be the design chosen, and it was a really fun process. I learned a ton about women's suffrage, which the whole movement, I mean, I knew the gist, but I really dove in and got to learn a lot about my history as a female, and also about the fund, and even more so too about what the Public Arts Commission does for the borough. So it's just been a really great opportunity to be a part of.
Do you think, like, when you saw the call for art, I'm curious, was it like you were hungry to respond to any call for art, or was it something particular about this project that made you really gravitate towards it?
I think it was the messaging for sure. I don't know if I would have responded in the same way. I don't know if I would have said, let's do the whole wall. Let's max this out in the boldest colors, the biggest way we can have this message portrayed. I wanted it to be impactful and bold, and I think that was also because of my heart in the messaging of this celebration. So yeah, I think I probably would have entered a call to art anyway, but not with such verbose vibrancy maybe. So and I saw it late. I saw the call to art late, so it was a big push.
Oh wow.
Work better under pressure, I guess.
I always, unfortunately.
That's great. Yeah, that was not evident to us, or at least not to me, that it was, a kind of last minute mission. And when you mention your heart and how, it really drove you to respond in such a bold way, I wanted to point out, the Arts Commission really helped us develop that call for art. Again, this is not anything we had done, but it was really important to us. It was our heart to really kind of not just pay homage to the centennial and the anniversary, but it was about kind of bringing, and I'm looking down because I'm reading from the call for art. It was about kind of also putting in the spotlight current women and current leaders, and also the, future female leaders. And that was important to us, having that aspect of multiple generations represented. And I know this is something we talked about, but it's positive, and it's a celebration of such an important milestone, but also the need to pass the baton, because there's still so much to be done, and so much to look, ahead to. And so I think, that was an important message for us, and it was awesome to see how much that came out in your submission, and how it spoke to you. It's like it was meant to be,
Yeah.
I think design wise, it really does read with that whole timeline.
Yeah.
It's all represented there, and it's not, there's an opportunity for the viewer to stand there in front of it and really take it in and read the messaging across the image, which is just fantastic. I mean, it's not, there's some depth to it. There's some level of interpretation that's available, and that's what makes it a real solid piece.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Now, one thing that kind of hit throughout the last 11 months really of this process was COVID-19, right? So that happened in March. And I think at that point, Jimmer, maybe we had decided on the mural, but not really moved forward. And we weren't sure if we were going to be able to move forward.
Yeah, the call for art had not gone out yet, because I remember you guys had said, well, we need to be really transparent about this, that we're going to take the next steps, but we don't know when this is going to happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. That's right. I think our initial vision turned out to be what happened, which was to launch before Election Day, or to unveil this before Election Day. But when COVID hit, we knew we weren't sure if the appetite was still going to be the same for a project like this in the community, with such urgent needs kind of being more pressing. The fundraising piece was also, we knew, going to be more of an uphill battle given the time. So it, we're just feel so fortunate that it all still came together and people still believed in this and saw it through, every step of the way. So that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was me. I had a gentleman stop. His grandmother was a suffragette, and so
Wow.
he pulled over, and I mean, I have tons of stories which I need to write down and probably share. And he stopped and told us the whole story of her life out in Downingtown, or Coatesville. Coatesville. She's one from Coatesville. And another woman pulled over and just wept, just stood there and wept as we were painting, and
Wow.
that is the power of this
Yeah.
piece, and being a part of that has been really moving.
Wow.
Beyond kind of anything I expected. I was expecting to just go out and paint this, and it was, it's incredible.
Wow. Yeah, it's already seems to have such a community impact. I mean, we've been able to create this collage of all these selfies that people have taken on social media and have tagged us, like whether it be right after they voted or just when they're in town, and people of all ages and backgrounds, who take such pride in it, and it's just beautiful. It's really an amazing thing.
Yeah, I still can't believe how we hit the election season so well.
I know.
I mean, I would have thought for sure there was no way that was going to fall into place. And sure enough, it did. Everything did. It was almost like it was just meant to be. It just took us to kind of push the steps forward.
Right.
And they were waiting for us to take them,
Yeah.
But it just worked out perfectly.
Yeah. And there were many opportunities for it not to work out.
Yeah.
Many.
Yes. There were many text exchanges and phone calls, Jimmer, where I remember asking, like, is there still hope? And then you're with your optimistic self, maybe we'll see, kind of thing. So somehow it worked out, and it was just been amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
So I guess in closing, I would ask, both of you, what is like the biggest memory, I guess, or the biggest, the most memorable moment from this experience that you would share? I mean, Kendra, you kind of hit on a few that sound like amazing, but I wonder if there's anything you would say in particular kind of sticking out to you through this whole process or through this whole journey.
I think another story I have, well, one, I got to work alongside my family members, and I'm the woman I am today because of some pretty influential people that have raised me. And so that one part that's a huge hitter of being able to do something local right in my own backyard and have them, my mom and, people painting alongside me is pretty cool. But there's a salon right at the end of that alley, and they were wonderful. And the barber there told me that his daughter turned 18 right a few days before this election. And so he had the idea, like, they went and voted, and then he brought her over to the wall to take a picture in front of the mural. And he's like, man, I just thought it was the coolest idea. And he said that entire day, he just sat there and watched countless taking pictures. And he said, I really wish I could, like, someone was here to see, like, you were here to see it. But he came out and told me a couple of days later when I was back cleaning up, and it's really cool to just hear stories like that, continuing the conversation and the history of it.
That's awesome.
for me, I'd say the most impactful thing has been the aftermath. You know, clearly this is the first of its kind with regard to a public art piece here in town. And since really since you got going with the actual painting, the phone's been ringing effectively. You know, we get emails of people saying, hey, how can I get involved? How can I be, you know, tell me more about the Public Arts Commission and what do you guys do and how can I help? And it's really just been a fantastic piece for just promoting public art here in town. It's been like a self-fulfilling, you know, it has really just been impactful in that way, and how I feel like it's kind of come full circle, you know, like we want to see this kind of thing, and the fund brought it and we made it happen, and now it's feeding another thing that's coming
awesome.
around, and it's, you know, so it's just a win-win for public art in Westchester.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. We like to say that we are like a catalyst and we ignite change, you know, particularly for women and girls. But in this project, you know, it's been so great to hear this, Jimmer, to hear what you had to say in terms of this sparking further projects and more projects, and just inspiring people to use their right to vote and remember, you know, all those who've come before us to make this happen. So it's just been great. It's been a wild ride, and we really hope that we have a chance to work with you guys again.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.